Did you know there's about 2.5 billion gamers on this planet? So I'm assuming if you're watching this, you've probably played a video game once in your life. But anyways, I myself, I enjoy playing video games. I've been playing them since I came out the womb. Um, I'm 18, so I've been playing them for decades now, and the just the way to see how the gaming culture evolved is crazy to what it's come today. It started from a joystick and a an arcade game to very high dynamic, high graphic games, consoles, PCs, something that we would never imagine. Virtual reality, yeah, something that we would never imagine that video games could evolve to this day, from what it was in the past at least. So in the 1970s is when uh, the first home gaming consoles, really came out, and this is when the market was booming, was starting to boom at least. Um, as Jeff Tyson states, the first commercial arcade video game was by Computer Space by Nutting Associates. It was introduced in 1972. They came out with the Atari. The Atari had popular games like Pac-Man and Pong, very classic games. And transitioning to the 1980s, we like to call that the golden age because, as an article called Britannica states, the Nintendo console was released as the Phenomenon in Japan on July 15th, 1983. It offered the ability to play popular arcade games such as Donkey Kong. And as we know, Donkey Kong is a very classic game. Um, and during this time, Nintendo uh, introduced itself in the gaming culture, and this was big for the gaming culture. So after Nintendo decides to introduce itself, a company named Sega uh, comes in the scene, and as Freaky Coke states, Sega introduced the SG-1000 in 1984 and featured the first detachable joysticks. And that's pretty big that the joysticks are now detachable because we're starting to transition into the wireless era, which we're in right now, which everything's wireless, and it's awesome. So going into the 1980s and 2000s, CDs were introduced in the evolution during this time, and the consoles that had CDs were GameCube, the PlayStation One, and the Wii. Sony came out with the PlayStation One, and they released a popular gaming console that had CDs on it, and that really boomed the market. And as Brendan Meharry states, the first CD console was the CD-ROM. It was released on the 4th of December 1988, which was the first CD console ever. Um, Now going into the motion sensing consoles, we have the Wii, which Nintendo came out. The Wii was a very complex system back in the early 2000s because not only was the Wii a CD console, but also the motion sensing controllers, meaning instead of using your thumbs and a joystick, you would use your actual hand movement to control the character in the game, and that was really big. And now transitioning to the modern day, uh, this is when we have high graphic video games, and this is when virtual reality is starting to get implemented in this era. Um, However, the most relevant companies that are still in it today is Sony and Nintendo, and then we have various PC companies, brands. PCs are popular to this day, and virtual reality is starting to become a thing. The first VR system was by Sony. Um, as Sony states, it was our first generation PlayStation VR released on October 13th, 2016. Um, what essentially VR is uh, it's virtual reality, but in a game. So if I move my neck left to right in game, my character is gonna move it their neck left to right, if that makes sense. So it's just it's real life in a video game. Just to put it in a nutshell. Um, so it all started with the Atari and Sega, Nintendo and PlayStation, um, and they really evolved the industry, starting with the Atari with the joysticks, Sega with the detachable joysticks, and then we got Sony and Nintendo with motionless sensing controllers and CDs, and then the evolution of gaming is still and expected to boom, still and expected to be a booming industry, and the future is very bright for this culture, as we are just getting started with the virtual reality console. So I'm very, very excited to see what the future holds for this industry.